So you want to start shooting film? Well, you've come to the right place. Hello and welcome. My name is Matthew Costa of Costa Clicks, and in today's video, I'm going to be going over everything you need to know to how to get started shooting film. So first things first, to shoot film, we're going to go over the things you're going to need. One is a camera, and two is film. Seems pretty simple. However, if you go looking out there, there's 101 different types of film, and there's 101 different types of camera. In this video, we're going to keep it simple, and we're going to start by going over the types of film camera that you're likely to have access to. Amazingly, you can go out right now and buy a film camera brand new. One example I have here is the Harman reusable camera. This camera is great. It's small, compact, lightweight. It's essentially a disposable film camera, which I'm sure if you're anything like me, you'll have familiarity with because all of your childhood photos were taken on a disposable camera. And what's great is it's reloadable. It's not actually disposable, so it's way better for the environment. You can go out and buy these pretty much any camera store, or you can buy them online. Another kind of camera you might see around is something like this. It's a point and shoot film camera, so it doesn't have a lot of manual settings. This specifically is a Minolta zoom camera. It's electronic, it has autofocus. These kind of cameras are great for beginners because they're point and shoots. They take care of all the settings, so they're gonna make sure your image is relatively well exposed, but they're not gonna have complicated manual controls like the next category of camera we're about to talk about. These kinds of cameras are great because you can find them at thrift stores, you can find them on eBay, so you will have to do a tiny bit of hunting, but I'm sure if you just ask around or go check your local thrift stores, charity shops, stuff like that, you'll sure to be find something in the vein of this style of camera, no problem. The third type of camera we're going to talk about in today's video is great if you want to take full control over the exposure and focus of your image, and that is the film SLR. There are tons of these out in the wild. You can find them pretty much the same places, eBay, charity shops. If you have a grandparent, ask them. They might have one of these lying around. And now SLR stands for single lens reflex. As you can see, this camera has one lens, hence single lens. And if you take the lens off here, you'll see inside there's a mirror. The mirror bounces up and down. It's a reflexive action. SLR cameras are great because they give you full manual control. All the lenses are manual focus, as well as they give you full manual control over your aperture, which is usually going to be on the lens, as well as your shutter speed. You'll have a dial on top of the camera. So now that we've talked about what kinds of film cameras are out there, let's talk about the film. And there are a lot of options. So when it comes to making your film choice, there's a few things you need to know. For one, based off the cameras I talked about earlier in this video, we're going to be talking about 35mm film, which you may or may not have heard that term before. If you haven't before, no worries. All it means is that's the size of the film. 35mm is the height of the film, and it comes on a roll. This roll goes through the camera and frames are captured onto the film. Rolls of 35mm film come in two options. You're either going to get 24 exposures or 36 exposures. And what that means is that's how many photos you'll get on that roll of film. So unlike digital photography, where you can just click, 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 take hundreds of photos, with film, it's very finite. And that's one of the reasons people, such as myself, love film so much, is because it's finite. So now you have to choose. Do you want to shoot black and white or color? There's pros and cons to both. The most obvious being one's in black and white and the other one's in color. For me personally, I love black and white. I feel like it has this super classic look. It's very timeless. But color photography on film is also really rewarding, and you can create stunning images with it as well. I'm just a black and white guy myself, but that choice is up to you. Some popular options for black and white, you have Ilford's HP5+, Kodak's Tri-X 400, T-Max 400, also by Kodak. You have Ilford's Delta 100 and 400 film, and many, many, many more. As for color films, some popular options are Kodak Gold 200 or Ultramax 400, depending what's available in your area, as well as Fuji Superia 400. So now that we've talked about the cameras and the film, we're almost ready to start shooting, but there's one thing I'd like to talk to you about in case you are going with an SLR, and that's this number here. So you notice on this box of film, it says HP5+ 400. And what that means is the film is a 400 speed film. If you have any experience with photography or video in a digital sense, that's the ISO of the film. All that means is how sensitive the film is to light. Now to keep it simple here, a lower number means the film is less sensitive. The higher the number, the more sensitive the film is to light. So higher numbers like 8, 16, or 3200 are really good for when it's evening, nighttime, or in a dimly lit restaurant, for example. Whereas lower numbers like 1, 2, or 400 are great for when you're walking around in the daytime when you have light available to you. So now that we've gone over all that, it's finally time to get that film in the camera and start shooting. Okay, so I'm going to be demonstrating how to load film into the camera today. I'll be demonstrating with my Canon AE1. It's a 35mm SLR. However, loading film into these cameras are all very, very similar. We got to open the back door. For this camera, I pull up on the winder here and press up, and it releases a spring, allows me to open the door. For certain other cameras, they might have a latch on the side here. Basically what you want to do, first step, is open that door, and you're going to see there's two sides of the camera. One is on the left here, usually, where the film starts, and it gets wound onto here every time you take a shot. You can see this is where the film gets exposed, the light comes through here. So we just got to open our box of film. I'm going to be shooting HP5 today. Really doesn't matter, it's all the same. So the 35mm film is going to come in these tiny little canisters, and you're going to have this little bit of film sticking out. This is called your film leader because it leads the rest of the film. So in this camera, you want to have the film upside down like this, and you're just going to want to put it in here on the left and press this in. And I like to turn it to make sure, and you'll see the film start to move. You gotta be careful, just to make sure it's in properly. Then you're gonna pull out a little bit of the leader, and here, let me zoom in actually so you guys can get a better look at this. So you're gonna see these at the top and bottom of the film. These perforations are called the sprocket holes, and inside the camera, there's this right here. I don't know how well you guys can see. You want that to grab the sprocket holes on the camera. And there's this little roll here, or spool. You want to take the tail of the leader and just wind it into that spool. Then you're going to want to advance the shutter. On this camera, there's a manual winder here. And you can see it's being picked up. Release the shutter, do it again, just to make sure it's on there properly. You can now close the door and do it a few more times. On this camera, you'll see at the top here, there's a film counter. It's gonna be at start, and you just wanna do that until you get to 0, and then 1, and that's your first shot. So now we have the film loaded, super easy. Now that you got your film loaded into your camera, you're ready to go out there and shoot your first roll of film and create some unique, memorable images. Once you've done that, you'll need to take the film out of the camera. Every camera is slightly different, but they all follow the same general principle. So let me go ahead and show you how to take a roll of film out of the camera. Now we gotta get the film out of the camera so it can be processed. You cannot just open the back of the camera without doing what I'm about to show you. Film is light sensitive until it has been fully processed. We gotta wind the film back from this side of the camera all the way back into the canister. The canister is light tight. Right now the film is all wound here after you shot your roll. You cannot open it until we've wound it back into the canister. On the bottom of your camera, you're gonna find a little button here. On my camera it's here, on some other cameras it can be here, wherever. You're gonna wanna find this little button and press it in. Once you've pressed it in, find your winder. There's usually an arrow. You want to wind in the direction of the arrow. This is very important. If you do not, it can cause the film in the canister to not wind up properly and get tangled. And you're just going to turn. And you're going to feel resistance, and you just want to keep winding slowly. And once you feel the resistance is gone, you know it's fully wound. So there you go. I don't know if you heard it, but I felt it. The resistance is now less. I'll do another half turn to a turn. And then again on this camera, you pull up to open the door. You're gonna hear that. That's just the tension inside the canister releasing. pull up, release the door, and you'll see the way I wound, I leave a little bit of the leader. That's because I developed the film at home myself. This allows me to keep the canisters for decorative reasons. However, you can put the leader inside the canister, especially if you're sending it to a lab. It does not matter. They just have to open the canister and these get tossed in the trash or the recycling. I just personally like to do it this way. If you're not comfortable with that, I recommend winding it all the way into the canister. That way you know it's safe and it's not going to be exposed to light, and all your images will be perfectly safe. So there you go. That's how to take the film out. Now we just need to get it processed. That's pretty much it, guys. I really hope I was able to help you out and start your journey in film photography. If you like this video, please be sure to hit that like button down below. It really helps me out, lets me know you enjoyed the video, and it helps other people find this video so that they too can learn and start their journey. My name is Matthew Costa of Costa Clicks. Please be sure to subscribe for more videos just like this one. Now get out there and create.